The centre is unlikely to conduct the decadal census before the next Lok Sabha polls in 2024. A government official told Business Standard that there was little time left to conduct the census in April next year, and that it was also unlikely to be held in 2024, since it would clash with the schedule for the general elections. The census is a gigantic exercise that is conducted in two phases. First, house listing is carried out, followed by population enumeration. The first phase provides data on housing conditions, household amenities and assets of households. The second phase provides data on demography, religion, scheduled castes and tribes, language, literacy and education, economic activities, migration, and fertility. One of the major challenges involved is training around 3 million enumerators. They are the ones who visit houses in the two phases to collect data. In his last public statement on the census exercise, Union Home Minister Amit Shah had said that the next census would be a digital one. A census mobile app has also been developed, into which the enumerators will feed the data they collect. With new technology being introduced into the census process, it may take a lot of time to train the enumerators. All of this means that the census requires significant preparation. In fact, a second official told Business Standard that the census can't be conducted in 2023 even if it is notified now. Why? Because the weather is also a major factor. According to the official, the census can't be conducted during the rainy or winter season. Thus, states usually finish house listing in April and May because the monsoon arrives in many parts of India in June. The process of conducting the 2021 decadal census was due to begin in March 2020. But that was also the month when the COVID-19 pandemic hit India and it went into lockdown. As a result, the census was postponed indefinitely. The pandemic appears to have receded for now. The provisions of the Disaster Management Act, which were brought in for COVID containment and were seen as a hindrance in conducting the census, were withdrawn by the centre and states in March this year. But the centre has still not taken any action to conduct the much delayed census.
Other countries, US and UK, also had COVID, in some ways worse effects of COVID, and yet they had their census. So this is an unconscionable delay, unnecessary. If this year the people had been hired, the people could have been trained, then the process could have been actually speeded up. It could have been implemented this year itself. After all, elections were taking place.
Census data is crucial for framing public policy and evidence-based decision-making.
The census in and of itself doesn't give you the information for targeting. What the census does is that it forms the statistical frame in which sample surveys are carried out in order to determine the magnitude of a problem and consequent to that, the magnitude of the resources that are required. So what happens is that if the census is too far delayed, then the surveys that we do to find out these issues become that much more unreliable.
Evidence-based policy making is going to be undermined. The bottom line is the government is going to insist upon the poorest quality of data for its policy making, which are called administrative data. In other words, government-generated administrative data. So, because there are three types of data: administrative data collected by government officers. The second type is sample survey, and the third is census. And the sample surveys design, as I said, is dependent upon the census.
Lack of up-to-date data in the hands of the government has a real impact on a lot of lives. In July, the Supreme Court had directed the centre to not restrict benefits under the National Food Security Act to only the people covered by the 2011 census. The Apex Court had also asked the government to factor in population projections in the absence of the 2021 census. The Act requires its coverage to be updated in accordance with the latest census figures.
I think the census data is useful not just as a policy instrument, but also something which gives you a better idea of what is happening in the country. And in fact, it is the only disaggregated information that is available at the village level. So it is used not just in academic research, but a lot of policy is basically based on this. Right from your NFSA, National Food Security Act, to various other entitlements are based on population estimates that are generated from census. The total number of households and population which is entitled based on the National Food Security Act for priority ration that they get is based on the 2011 census. And even if you just look at the numbers which have been projected, you come to the conclusion that roughly 100 million people are going to be excluded simply because we are using old population data.
Further delay in conducting the census will also prove problematic because the new state-wise population proportion affects everything, from the number of constituencies in parliament to the division of the common pool of taxes. In particular, it is imperative that the census be completed with enough time remaining for proper political deliberation before constituencies are delimited. Otherwise, the federal structure of India itself may come under pressure. The delimitation of assembly and parliamentary constituencies will take place in 2027. The current number of Lok Sabha and assembly seats remains frozen on the basis of the 1971 census. Census data is crucial for deciding the coverage of food subsidies, the delimitation of constituencies, and resource allocation. It is also central to all household-based surveys. Crucially, old data is being used at present for welfare programs. For all these reasons, the government should issue a timeline for the census as soon as possible.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.